I'm Jim Brewer. Welcome back to part 3 of our OSHA record keeping and reporting seminar. In this third and final part, we will talk about a few miscellaneous considerations and interesting tidbits that may affect the way you record incidents. So let's talk about travel status. Even if an employee is not at your actual workplace but traveling for business and sustained some type of injury, that is recordable if he was working for you at the time it happened. And that can include even during dining and entertainment activities if they were directed by the employer. Okay? There is a note about home away from home, i.e. the hotel or residence where they're staying while out of town. Once they check into the hotel or arrive at the hotel at the end of the workday, that signals leaving the work environment. So if they were injured in the hotel at the end of the workday, then that would not be recordable. Okay? And if they take a detour or side trip for personal reasons while traveling, that would also not be work related. Working at home, there's certainly a lot of that going on now during the height of the pandemic. So if they're actively working at the time, then that could be work-related at home, at a work-related injury, and it can occur at home if they're actually working at the time. It must be directly related to the performance of the work activity they're assigned to do. Medical treatment is basically the management and care of a patient to combat disease or injury, but it does not include just a visit to the doctor for checkup or diagnostic procedures or first aid. So any of those things would not be recordable. If a person has some type of incident that involves loss of consciousness, that's always a recordable incident if it happened in the work environment. Significant diseases like cancer, any chronic irreversible disease, punctured eardrums, fractured bones, damaged tooth, those must be recorded if they are work related. Cancer is a tough one. If it can be assumed or established that it's the result of years of a certain work process, then clearly that is work related. But if it's not something that can be tied to the work environment, then it probably wouldn't be. So it's always a tough one. These chronic or long-term developments, you have to make a good faith judgment about whether it's work-related or not. So do you have to use the OSHA forms? Well, OSHA permits you to use a substitute form if it contains similar information and has similar instructions. And these forms can be stored on your computer, provided they're accessible when needed. If you have more than one establishment, you need to keep an OSHA 300 incident log for each establishment if it's expected to be in business for more than a year. If you have a number of short-term, less than a year work sites, you can group all of those together. But an employee should be linked with one establishment, like their home or main establishment. What are covered employees? Well, any employees on your payroll are covered, and temporary workers are covered. If you get somebody from a temp agency or hiring service, those are also covered if you provide the day-to-day supervision for those folks. Self-employed persons and partners or owners of the business are generally not recordable. And if you're running a temporary help agency, you shouldn't record injuries to your folks if they are supervised by the firm that's actually using those temporary workers. You must keep the forms for 5 years following the year that they cover. And you should update the OSHA 300 form in terms of, length of disability, days missed from work, things like that throughout that period. There is no need to update the annual summary or the actual incident report. If you have an OSHA inspection, if you had to report an incident, it triggered an inspection, or if OSHA just showed up randomly for an inspection, most likely the first thing the inspector is going to want to see is your OSHA 300 logs for the last 5 years. They expect you to have those if you have more than 10 employees, and they're going to certainly ask for them and expect you to be able to produce them. So you need to make sure that your employees know how to report any type of injury or illness. There must be a procedure or a process for them to report to management, and stress the need for them to make those reports. You simply must know about these things that occur during or in your workplace. A number of states have their own OSHA state plans, and they must follow the same requirements, and only with permission from federal OSHA can they make those plans more stringent. So in summary, all employers must report fatalities or catastrophes. That's the hospitalization, amputation, or loss of an eye. Employers with 10 or more employees are required to maintain the injury and illness records. That's your 300, 300A, and 301. There is an exemption for some low-risk injuries or industries. You must post the 300A by February 1st, and companies that are subject to electronic filing must do that by March 2nd. The electronic filers are companies with more than 250 employees, and a lot of industries with more than 20 employees. In the trades, if you have more than 20 employees, you're probably going to be a mandatory electronic filer. If you need more help, you can turn to OSHA's record keeping page. If you have a state plan, you can seek information there. You can reach out to me. I'm an OSHA authorized trainer, and I'll be happy to help you and give you guidance. So I hope you found this presentation worthwhile. I hope you learned something. And if I can ever help you, please give me a call at Rooftop Safety USA. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.